Hi, this is Chris, and we are taking a look at questions 15 and 16 here in section 4 of SAT Practice Test 3. So for question 15, it says, in order to determine if treatment X is successful in improving eyesight, a research study was conducted. From a large population of people with poor eyesight, 300 participants were selected at random. Half of the participants were randomly assigned to receive treatment X, and the other half did not receive treatment X. The resulting data showed that participants who received treatment X had significantly improved eyesight as compared to those who did not receive treatment X. Based on the design and the results of the study, which of the following is an appropriate conclusion? And so this one is not a calculation-based question, but it's going to be logic-based, and they're testing to see if we understand how these study designs can apply to a particular population. So for A, it says treatment X is likely to improve the eyesight of people who have poor eyesight. B says treatment X improves eyesight better than all other available treatments. Treatment X will improve the eyesight of anyone who takes it. And treatment X will cause a substantial improvement in eyesight. So the key concept here is that whenever you do any sort of study, the group that you test something on and the findings that you get, those findings can only be applied to similar groups. So in this case, because they say from a large population of people with poor eyesight, that means that whatever results they saw in the study and the results that they saw were that you did have significantly improved eyesight with the administering of treatment X, but just keep in mind that's only for people with poor eyesight, which if we look at our answer choices, B we can eliminate. That's comparing it to other treatments, and there were no other treatments in our study. So regardless of how significantly treatment X improved eyesight, we don't know if treatment A, B, C, D, or E might not have improved eyesight more. We have no comparison factor there. So we can't compare it to any other treatments because that wasn't done in the study. For answer choice C, treatment X will improve the eyesight of anyone who takes it, and that does not match what we saw in the study. Remember, only for those with poor eyesight can we draw this conclusion. So no thank you to answer choice C. And for D, treatment X will cause a substantial improvement in eyesight. That's essentially the same thing as saying that it's for anyone, because this is just saying that it causes improvement as a blanket statement. It's not specifying the group that it would apply to. So we say no thanks to D, and answer choice A here is our correct answer. And just remember, whatever findings you get from a study, you can only apply those findings to a similar population. In this case, it's just for those with poor eyesight who we could expect to see a significant improvement upon receiving treatment X. Up next is question 16. Here we have a graph, and we'll zoom out a little bit. It says, graphs of the functions f and g are shown in the xy plane above. For which of the following values of x does f of x plus g of x equal 0? So that might be hard for us to answer visually just at a glance, and we're going to have to work through our answer choices here and just test out individual values. So let's start with -3. And basically what it means is that if you're plugging in these answer choices, these are your x values, so you'd be plugging those in for x for each function. So for example, answer choice A would be like saying f of -3 plus g of -3, and we want to see if that's going to equal 0. So let's see if we could figure out values for f of -3 and g of -3. So if we look at our graph for the f function, so if we look at -3, we have our origin here, and I'm going to label these just because we'll need these for the other questions, but there's -1, -2, -3 right there. So let's check out our value for f of x when we're at -3 is right there, and then g of x is also actually at the same point. They both intersect right when x is -3. So that value, when they say value of the function, they're always talking about the y. So that's going to be right at -1, and I'll label that. So if that's at -1, they would each equal -1. So this would be the equivalent of saying -1 plus -1 equals 0 is what we're hoping for, but that equals -2, which does not work. So we can eliminate answer choice A. Now let's see if we can walk through these other answer choices for each of these similarly. So for -2, we have f of -2 plus g of -2, which means we're going to look on our graph where x is -2, and we're going to look at the value of each function. So our f function here, the one that is an upward-facing parabola, at -2, the value of our f function would be -2, because we can see that's the corresponding y value at that point. And our g function up here, the downward-facing parabola, when x is -2, this has a value of +2 on the y-axis. So this would be equivalent to saying -2 for our f value plus +2 for our g value. And hey, guess what? That does equal 0. Let me rewrite that 0 because that wasn't very cute, but that does equal 0. So we're good. It's answer choice B, and you could check the others as needed just for practice, but on test day, if you go through and you find the correct answer, you can confidently circle that one and move on. And then